In the aftermath of King Charles III's coronation, the royal family has been shaken by a scandal that, according to royal biographer Tom Bower, continues to fester in the halls of Buckingham Palace. Though the ceremony was meant to symbolize the beginning of a new reign, the tensions that have long simmered beneath the surface between Queen Camilla and Princess Catherine have erupted, creating an undeniable rift that threatens to divide the royal household. The source of this rift? A subtle but significant snub at the coronation. Queen Camilla, whose relationship with the royal family has been marked by a long history of navigating complex dynamics, reportedly invited 20 members of her own Parker Bowles family to the coronation, while only 4 members of Catherine's Middleton family were given the honor of attending. This imbalance, while seemingly a minor detail, struck at the heart of the royal family's carefully constructed image of unity, and the consequences have been nothing short of explosive. As the coronation ceremony drew to a close, a moment that would normally have been filled with grace and reverence turned into an unmistakable display of tension. As King Charles and Queen Camilla departed Westminster Abbey, the congregation respectfully bowed and curtsied to the new king. But as Queen Camilla passed by, not a single person moved, not one curtsy, not one bow. The silence was deafening, and the weight of the moment was impossible to ignore. Those who were in attendance could feel the shift in the atmosphere, the unmistakable discomfort that rippled through the room. The lack of respect shown to Queen Camilla was not a simple oversight. It was a deliberate message. And at the center of it all stood Princess Catherine, whose silent protest spoke louder than any words could. In the days that followed, the tension within the royal household was palpable. Everyone knew that a confrontation between Princess Catherine and Queen Camilla was inevitable, but the question remained, when would it come, and what would happen when it did? Behind the closed doors of Buckingham Palace, far from the public eye, the two women prepared to face each other. It was a battle of wills, a contest for power, influence, and respect, a confrontation that would echo through the royal family for years to come. The moment arrived in a quiet, private room at Buckingham Palace. Princess Catherine, with her poised demeanor and graceful composure, entered, the weight of the past few days hanging heavily between them. Queen Camilla, seated across from her, regarded her with a cool, measured gaze. Despite the outward calm, both women knew the gravity of what was about to unfold. This would not be a conversation about protocol or tradition, it would be about power and recognition, the unspoken struggle for control within the monarchy. "I do not wish to cause discord, Your Majesty," Catherine began, her voice steady but firm. "But I cannot ignore the obvious slight. My family, William's family, deserved to be there in equal measure. The coronation was not just a personal milestone for you and His Majesty. It was a moment for the entire royal household, for every family member who has supported the monarchy through thick and thin. Yet the Middletons were all but sidelined." Queen Camilla's expression remained unreadable, though her eyes flickered with something resembling frustration. She set her teacup down with deliberate precision, the delicate china clinking against the saucer. "Catherine," she replied, her tone calm but with an edge that was impossible to ignore. "You know as well as I do that these events are about maintaining tradition. About ensuring that those who have been loyal to the crown for years, decades even, are recognized. The Parker Bowles family has supported me through every trial, every hardship. They have been there when others chose to turn away." Catherine's eyes never left Camilla's, unwavering. She leaned forward, her voice carrying a quiet but unmistakable force. "And you believe that my family, who have supported me and William, who have stood by us through every challenge, did not deserve the same recognition?" Her words were not simply an accusation, they were a challenge, one that demanded an answer. Camilla's lips tightened, and she exhaled slowly, a gesture that suggested a deep, simmering frustration. "I understand your disappointment, Catherine," she said, her tone softening only slightly. "But the guest list was not made on the basis of sentiment. Every seat was filled with someone who has played a significant role in the monarchy's transition. This is not about family ties, it's about loyalty, duty, and the role each individual plays in the preservation of the crown. But the role my family has played cannot be dismissed so easily," Catherine countered, her voice sharp with emotion. "We have been there, standing by the monarchy, offering our support when others hesitated. The Middletons are not outsiders. We have always understood our place, but this was more than just an oversight. This was a message, a deliberate act of exclusion. The words struck a nerve. Camilla's eyes hardened, her posture stiffening as she met Catherine's gaze. A message, she repeated, her voice now laced with a cold edge. And what exactly do you think that message was, Catherine? Catherine's voice dropped, the quiet intensity of her words filling the room. The message is that respect is not a one-way street. That tradition must be upheld by all members of the royal family, not just those who choose to wield it as a weapon. And that perhaps, just perhaps, those who felt overlooked were no longer willing to remain silent. The moment you passed by at the coronation was not an accident. It was not a coincidence. It was a statement. For a long moment, Camilla remained silent, her jaw tightening as she processed Catherine's words. The room seemed to close in around them as the weight of the conversation pressed down. It was a battle of ideals, of what each woman believed the monarchy should represent and how their respective families fit into that vision. Finally, Camilla exhaled deeply, her shoulders lowering slightly. She met Catherine's gaze, her expression now more contemplative than confrontational. The monarchy, she began, her voice quieter now, almost weary, has always been a delicate balance of duty, expectation, and personal sacrifice. I have fought for my place within it, just as you have. But I will not let this divide us further. If an oversight was made, I regret it. But understand this, Catherine, unity is paramount. We cannot afford to be seen as fractured. Catherine considered her words carefully, her mind racing. The room was heavy with the weight of the history they both represented, the power they both wielded, and the responsibility that came with their roles. The monarchy was not just about family, it was about a fragile institution that demanded cohesion above all else. But was that unity worth sacrificing respect? Could they truly find a way forward if they continued to ignore the deep-rooted issues that divided them? I agree, Catherine said, her voice steady, though it carried an undercurrent of resolve. Which is why fairness must be at the heart of everything we do. Without it, the monarchy will crumble from within. And I will not stand idly by as my family is sidelined while others take precedence. The two women exchanged a long look, one that spoke volumes despite the silence between them. It was clear that the rift had not been fully healed, and though they had reached an uneasy truce, the underlying tensions remained. As Catherine rose to leave, Camilla spoke again, her tone softer now, almost conciliatory. You have always carried yourself with grace, Catherine. I hope we can find a way forward together. Catherine paused at the door, turning slightly to look back at Camilla. So do I, Your Majesty, she replied, her voice unwavering. But let us ensure that moving forward, fairness and respect are not mere words, but actions. Only then can we rebuild what has been damaged. The conversation had ended, but the impact of it would linger. In the quiet aftermath, it was clear that the royal family stood at a crossroads. The balance between tradition and modernity, between duty and personal sacrifice, had never been more fragile. And the question of how the monarchy would adapt to a rapidly changing world, while still maintaining its integrity and unity, would be the defining challenge of the coming years. Though the confrontation between Princess Catherine and Queen Camilla had ended without a dramatic public spectacle, its implications were far-reaching. The divide between them was not simply about a guest list or a slight at a coronation, it was about power, influence, and the future of the monarchy itself. And as the royal family moved forward, they would have to confront the uncomfortable truths that had been laid bare in that room at Buckingham Palace. The battle for respect, fairness, and unity was far from over, and the stakes had never been higher.